Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet. Just when you think you've figured it all out, there are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. November 1918. In Western Europe, the four-year carnage of World War I is drawing to a close. Yet across the former Russian Empire, a new and brutal conflict has erupted. A civil war that stretches from Central Europe to the Pacific, claiming an estimated 9 million lives. Lenin and the Bolsheviks, at the helm of the fledgling Soviet Republic, fight desperately for survival against a formidable array of enemies, collectively known as the Whites. At the heart of the White movement stands their newly appointed supreme leader, Admiral Alexander Kolchak. A decorated war hero, a man of unwavering duty and discipline, Kolchak is driven by a singular devotion to the motherland. Millions look to him to crush the Bolsheviks, avenge the murdered Tsar, and restore order to a nation on the brink of chaos and collapse. This is the remarkable story of the life and tragic fate of Admiral Kolchak, Russia's sole supreme ruler. The Arctic Ocean, 1900. The Russian scientific vessel Zarya sails eastward on a daring expedition to the farthest reaches of the Russian Empire. Leading the mission is Baron Eduard von Toll, a distinguished Russian explorer and geologist, whose ambition is to chart the Arctic and discover Sannikov Land, a near-mythical landmass rumored to lie north of the Novosibirsk Islands. Among his crew is 26-year-old naval Lieutenant Alexander Vasilyevich Kolchak. Kolchak, a brilliant naval cadet, had previously served aboard the Petropavlovsk, one of Russia's most modern battleships. Yet his passion extended beyond military service. He harbored a deep fascination for scientific exploration and oceanography. When Baron Toll invited him to join the Arctic expedition, Kolchak eagerly seized the opportunity. At the dawn of the 20th century, imperial competition and scientific discovery were intertwined. Under the autocratic rule of Tsar Nicholas II, Russia sought to modernize and gain a deeper understanding of its vast eastern territories. Toll's expedition was a key part of this vision, and it would prove as dramatic as any saga in the annals of polar exploration. Despite Toll's expertise in geology and his boundless ambition, he lacked extensive maritime knowledge. Compounding the challenge, Zarya was an aging vessel, poorly equipped for prolonged navigation through treacherous ice fields. Nevertheless, the expedition spent 2 arduous years surveying Russia's frozen northern coast, battling ice flows and extreme conditions. In one harrowing incident, Toll narrowly escaped drowning after an encounter with a walrus, while Kolchak faced relentless attacks from polar bears. By May 1902, Toll, frustrated by his failure to locate Sannikov Land, made a perilous decision. With Zarya trapped in the ice, he set out with 3 companions on sleds in a desperate bid to reach Bennett Island. When the ship finally broke free a month later and attempted to retrieve them, the ice proved impenetrable and fuel supplies dwindled. The rescue attempt was forced to turn back, leaving Toll and his team stranded in the Arctic wilderness. Lieutenant Kolchak, who had distinguished himself as a key member of the mission and a steadfast ally to Toll, refused to accept their leader's fate. Upon his return to St. Petersburg after a grueling 3,500-mile overland journey, he championed an audacious rescue plan to reach Bennett Island without a ship, using only sleds and small boats. Despite skepticism, the plan was approved, and Kolchak postponed his own wedding to prepare for the perilous undertaking. On May 5th, 1903, Kolchak and his 17-man rescue party set off across 600 miles of treacherous snowfields and shifting pack ice. Traveling by dog sled and whale boat, they endured 3 grueling months to finally reach Bennett Island, only to discover an abandoned campsite. A solitary note, dated October 26th, read, "Departing south today. We have provisions for 14 to 20 days. All are in good health." The note was 9 months old. No further trace of Toll or his 3 companions was ever found. Although the rescue mission ultimately failed, Kolchak's bravery and determination earned him national acclaim and the Imperial Geographical Society's highest honor, the Constantine Medal. He also earned a lasting moniker, Kolchak Polyarny, Polar Kolchak. Returning to Yakutsk in January 1904, Kolchak received news that Japan had launched a surprise attack on Russia's far eastern naval base at Port Arthur, igniting war between the two empires. For Kolchak, this was a long-awaited opportunity to serve the motherland in battle. He promptly requested a transfer to the front, but not before stopping in Irkutsk to finally marry Sofia Fyodorovna in a hastily arranged ceremony. For days later, duty called him to the Far East. At the time, global observers expected Imperial Russia, a vast European power, to easily triumph over Japan, often dismissed as an Asiatic upstart by the racial prejudices of the era. However, the war turned into a humiliating quagmire for Russia, marred by catastrophic defeats on land and sea, ultimately leading to domestic turmoil and political crisis. Amid the mounting chaos, Kolchak served with distinction. Assigned to Russia's Pacific Fleet in the besieged port of Port Arthur, his role as commander of an aging destroyer primarily involved laying defensive minefields at sea. Despite the grim odds, he displayed remarkable courage and resilience, earning the respect of his peers and superiors alike. December 1904, one of Kolchak's naval mines achieved a significant success, sinking the Japanese cruiser Takasago. Yet, the monotonous nature of his duties weighed heavily on him, and his health began to deteriorate. Later that month, Japanese forces advanced close enough to Port Arthur to bombard the Russian fleet with land-based artillery. One by one, Russia's Pacific warships were sunk. Shortly after, Port Arthur fell to the enemy. Kolchak was among the 25,000 Russian prisoners taken by the Japanese, but due to his poor health and injuries, he was repatriated a few months later and reunited with his wife in St. Petersburg. The war had been a demoralizing ordeal for Russia and for Kolchak personally, although his courage and leadership earned him several commendations. 1914. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo triggered a global crisis. Austria-Hungary accused Serbia of orchestrating the murder and prepared for retaliation. In response, Tsar Nicholas II ordered the mobilization of Russian forces to protect their Slavic ally. This action prompted Germany, Austria's staunch ally, to declare war on Russia. Soon, the great empires of Europe were engulfed in war. That summer, as Russia's army stumbled into disaster in East Prussia, 39-year-old Captain Kolchak assumed command of a destroyer flotilla within the Baltic Fleet. A year earlier, an official report had described him as an outstanding officer in every respect, resolute, courteous, and highly disciplined. Kolchak embodied the ideal of a czarist officer. Despite the overwhelming might of the German Navy, Kolchak and his flotilla achieved remarkable success in the Baltic. Mine warfare became their weapon of choice. In the early days of the war, his unit laid an astounding 6,000 mines across the Gulf of Finland, effectively shielding the Russian capital from potential naval incursions. Kolchak also orchestrated daring nocturnal operations, deploying mines in strategic locations near enemy ports such as Memel. His bold leadership earned him further accolades and a personal audience with Tsar Nicholas II. 1916, Kolchak's rapid rise continued. He was promoted to the rank of admiral, becoming the youngest to hold the title in the Russian Navy. Assigned as commander-in-chief of the Black Sea Fleet, he arrived at his new headquarters in Sevastopol in July, accompanied by his wife Sofia and their 6-year-old son. Tragically, the couple had already endured the loss of 2 children. Across the Black Sea, Kolchak faced Russia's long-standing rivals, the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. Wasting no time, he implemented an aggressive strategy, mining enemy coastlines and providing critical naval support for Russian campaigns in the Caucasus. His grand ambition was to lead an operation to seize the Bosporus Strait, an endeavor eagerly anticipated by Russia's Western allies. To this end, the 1st Naval Infantry Division was established under his command. However, logistical challenges and internal instability meant that the ambitious plan never materialized. Despite this setback, Kolchak's achievements in the Black Sea made him a national hero once again, a beacon of hope in an increasingly bleak war. Across other fronts, Russia's forces suffered devastating defeats, and domestic unrest began to spiral out of control. March 1917. In Petrograd, public protests erupted over soaring food prices and the immense sacrifices demanded by the war. The long-brewing discontent reached a breaking point, sparking the February Revolution. News of the upheaval took several days to reach the Black Sea Fleet in Crimea. Determined to maintain order, Kolchak issued a proclamation to his officers and sailors. I order all personnel of the Black Sea Fleet and the forces under my command to continue, unwaveringly, in their duty to the Emperor and the motherland. But the very next day, Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne, shattering Kolchak's worldview. Duty, discipline, and loyalty to the sovereign had defined his existence, and now, with the monarchy's fall, he foresaw chaos and an uncertain future. Meanwhile, many of his sailors celebrated the revolution, eager to cast off the oppressive conditions and brutal discipline that had long defined their service. In Sevastopol, they established their own Soviet council and began renaming imperial vessels. As discipline eroded, Kolchak maintained rigorous operational tempos to keep his men occupied. Privately, he lamented the situation, calling it the disgrace of a senseless mutiny during wartime. For 3 months, he managed to hold the fleet together through firm leadership and careful negotiation. However, Bolshevik agitators stirred unrest among the ranks, demanding an immediate end to the war and the removal of officers like Kolchak, whom they viewed as symbols of the old regime. In June, tensions reached a boiling point. The crew of his flagship, Georgy Pobedonosets, confronted him with demands that all officers surrender their sidearms and ceremonial swords. To avoid bloodshed, Kolchak complied, but instead of handing over his own sword, he defiantly cast it into the sea, declaring, "Even the Japanese, our enemies, allowed me to keep my weapons. You shall not have them now." Shortly thereafter, Kolchak resigned his command and traveled to Petrograd. He left behind his wife and son in Crimea. Unbeknownst to him, it would be the last time he would see them. Having publicly condemned the policies of Russia's new provisional government, Kolchak's unwavering stance against the revolution earned him admiration among conservative circles. Many viewed him as a potential savior of the nation, a leader capable of restoring law and order amid the growing anarchy. These rumors unsettled the provisional government, particularly Minister of War Alexander Kolchak, who perceived Kolchak as a potential threat to his authority. In a calculated move, Kerensky summoned Kolchak and informed him that he would be sent abroad as part of a military mission to liaise with Russia's Western allies. In reality, it was a thinly veiled political exile, a fact Kolchak himself recognized. Summer 1917, Kolchak embarked on a journey through Norway to Britain and then the United States. In Washington, he met with President Woodrow Wilson and senior U.S. naval officers. However, it soon became evident that meaningful military cooperation between Russia and its allies was unlikely. While in San Francisco, Kolchak received an invitation to return to Russia and participate in politics as a candidate for the Cadets, Russia's last major non-socialist party. He accepted the offer and set sail for home. Yet, while en route, devastating news arrived. A second revolution had swept through Russia. The Bolsheviks had seized power. Lenin had seized control. The October Revolution of 1917 left Kolchak appalled. He harbored an intense disdain for Lenin and the Bolsheviks, who soon rebranded themselves as the Russian Communist Party. Kolchak's deepest grievance lay in Lenin's intent to broker an immediate peace with Germany, an act he regarded as both dishonorable and a betrayal of Russia's sacred commitments to its World War I allies. Like many Tsarist officers, Kolchak viewed Russia's obligations to the Allied cause as inviolable. Lenin's negotiations with Germany, in Kolchak's eyes, were nothing short of treason. Determined to uphold his duty, Kolchak's course of action became clear. As an admiral of the Russian fleet, I considered our Allied commitment to the war against Germany to remain in full force. With my beloved motherland now in the hands of German agents and traitors, the only honorable course left to me was to continue the fight against Germany alongside our allies. Seeking to contribute to the war effort, Kolchak offered his services to the British, who initially planned to deploy him to Mesopotamia. However, as the war in Western Europe continued to rage, the Allies soon envisioned a far greater role for him. With the Western Front still locked in bloody stalemate, they desperately needed Russia to re-enter the war, something that could only be achieved by removing Lenin and the Bolsheviks from power. By July 1918, the Bolsheviks had added to their growing list of crimes by executing Emperor Nicholas II and his entire family in Ekaterinburg. As civil war consumed Russia, the Allies resolved to back the anti-Bolshevik forces, known as the Whites against the Bolsheviks or Reds. Seeing in Kolchak a leader capable of unifying and directing the fragmented white forces in the Russian Far East, the British championed his candidacy. Their proposal garnered widespread support. In September 1918, Kolchak arrived in Vladivostok, where he learned that anti-Bolshevik factions had recently convened in Ufa to establish a provisional all-Russian government. However, this nascent government had little appeal to Kolchak and other conservatives, who blamed the earlier provisional government for plunging Russia into chaos. Shortly thereafter, the advance of the Red Army forced the Ufa government to abandon its position and retreat to Omsk. Kolchak undertook an arduous 2,800-mile journey by train to join them. On November 5, 1918, after extensive deliberations, he agreed to serve as Minister of War and Navy in the provisional government. Just 2 days later, he formed a general staff and immediately departed for the front to assess the dire military situation. Across Russia, the conflict was bewilderingly complex. White forces were scattered across the vast periphery of the former empire. In the east, General Boldyrev commanded 180,000 troops on the Omsk front. In the south, General Denikin's volunteer army, numbering around 50,000 men, battled Bolshevik forces. In the north, the northern Russian government, a small white-controlled enclave, struggled to hold its ground with just 6,000 troops. These disparate forces were supplemented by contingents from the Allied powers, primarily in support and advisory roles, while crucial shipments of arms and supplies arrived via Russia's ports. A unique element in the conflict was the Czechoslovak Legion, a force of around 50,000 men stationed along the Trans-Siberian Railway. Originally composed of Czech and Slovak volunteers fighting alongside the Russian Imperial Army against Germany, they found themselves in a precarious situation after the Bolshevik takeover. Initially granted safe passage by rail to Vladivostok to continue their journey to France, their fortunes changed when the Bolsheviks sought to disarm them. The Legion resisted and seized control of key strategic points along the railway, effectively controlling the vital east-west supply route across Siberia. To further complicate matters, Russia's civil war unfolded alongside numerous national independence movements in regions such as Poland, Ukraine, and Lithuania, each pursuing their own aspirations amid the chaos. The challenge facing Kolchak was formidable. The Bolsheviks, firmly entrenched in Russia's major cities, industrial centers, and transportation hubs, commanded a formidable force of approximately 800,000 troops, giving them a significant strategic advantage. Meanwhile, the Whites remained geographically fragmented and politically divided, comprising a diverse coalition ranging from conservative monarchists to left-wing socialist revolutionaries, many of whom had played a key role in the February Revolution of 1917. Despite the overwhelming odds, Kolchak's leadership provided the anti-Bolshevik forces with a renewed sense of purpose. However, tensions and ideological rifts within the White movement threatened to undermine their efforts even before they could mount a decisive campaign against the Bolsheviks. At the other end of the political spectrum were the staunch right-wing conservatives, ardent monarchists who sought to restore the Russian Empire to its former glory. For them, there was no place for socialists or provisional governments. They believed that only a strong, decisive leader could salvage Russia from the chaos engulfing the nation. On November 18, 1918, they seized their opportunity. A force of 300 Cossack troops stormed into Omsk, swiftly arresting socialist revolutionary delegates and dismantling the remnants of the provisional government. In a dramatic turn of events, the government was dissolved by its own executive body, the Council of Ministers. With the political landscape now cleared of opposition, the council took a momentous step, electing a supreme ruler of Russia, who would be granted absolute, dictatorial authority to restore order and lead the nation through its darkest hour. The man they chose was Admiral Alexander Kolchak, a distinguished military leader with an impeccable service record. Respected both at home and abroad, Kolchak maintained close ties with the Western allies, who viewed him as a crucial figure in their efforts to combat Bolshevism. Above all, he was a man who embodied their vision, that only a return to law, order, and traditional values could prevent Russia from descending further into anarchy. Kolchak himself had not sought the mantle of supreme ruler, believing there were others better suited for the role. However, when duty called, he answered with unwavering resolve. We hope you've enjoyed the first part of our series on Admiral Kolchak. If you'd like early access to the next episode, as well as ad-free viewing of all our past, present, and future content, we're thrilled to announce that Epic History TV is now available on Nebula, the streaming platform designed by creators. For creators, on Nebula, you can enjoy our content without interruptions while directly supporting our work. You'll also gain access to a wide array of exclusive content from top creators, including Nebula originals such as 16 Days in Berlin by Real Time History and Modern Conflicts by Real Life Lore, which provides in-depth analysis of today's geopolitical struggles beyond the limitations of mainstream platforms. Dive into historical deep dives such as the Battle of Britain series by Real Engineering, or explore Nebula classes to develop your own creative skills. As a special offer for our viewers, the link in our video description provides an exclusive 40% discount on the annual plan. Looking for the perfect holiday gift? Nebula now offers lifetime membership for a one-time payment of $300, granting unlimited access to all existing and future content forever. This one-time purchase not only offers incredible long-term value, but also supports Nebula's investment in exciting new projects and ambitious productions slated for 2024. With lifetime membership, there are no monthly fees or price hikes, just uninterrupted access to a truly unique streaming experience. Nebula was created to ensure content creators are rewarded fairly, without reliance on traditional ad-driven platforms. We extend our sincere thanks to our existing subscribers and to those considering joining us. Your support enables us to continue producing high-quality historical content for years to come. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.